Restraint of the sense faculties, Kundalya, when developed and cultivated, fulfills the three kinds of good conduct. And how Kundalya is restraint of the sense faculties developed and cultivated so that it fulfills the three kinds of good conduct. Here Kundalya, having seen an agreeable form with the eye, a monk does not long for it, or become excited by it, or generate lust for it. His body is steady and his mind is steady, inwardly well composed and well liberated. But having seen a disagreeable form with the eye, he is not dismayed by it, not daunted, not rejected, without ill will. His body is steady and his mind is steady, inwardly well composed and well liberated. Further, Kundalya, having heard an agreeable sound with the ear, having smelled an agreeable odor with the nose, having savored an agreeable taste with the tongue, tactile object with the body, thought with the mind, a monk does not long for it, or become excited by it, or generate lust for it. But having cognized a disagreeable thought with the mind, he is not dismayed by it, not daunted, not dejected, without ill will. His body is steady and his mind is steady, inwardly well composed and liberated. When Kundalya, after he has seen a form with the eye, a monk's body is steady and his mind is steady, inwardly well composed and well liberated in regard to both agreeable and disagreeable forms. When after he has heard a sound with the ear, smelled an odor, savored a taste, felt a tactile object, cognized a thought, a monk's body is steady and his mind is steady, inwardly well composed and well liberated in regard to both agreeable and disagreeable mental phenomena. Then his restraint of the sense faculties has been developed and cultivated in such a way that it fulfills the three kinds of good conduct. Stop here for a moment. So here the Buddha says a monk has to develop his mind so well that when the six sense objects impinge at the six sense faculties, whether it's pleasant or unpleasant, he's not moved by them, whether it's sights or sounds or smells or tastes, etc. He's not moved by them. And if that is the case, his sense faculties are restrained, then it also means that the three kinds of good conduct are restrained. These three kinds of good conduct refers to the body conduct, speech and thoughts. And how Kundalya are the three kinds of good conduct developed and cultivated so that they fulfill the four intense states of recollection. Here Kundalya, having abandoned bodily misconduct, a monk develops good bodily conduct. Having abandoned verbal misconduct, he develops a good verbal conduct. Having abandoned mental misconduct, he develops good mental conduct. It is in this way that the three kinds of good conduct are developed and cultivated so that they fulfill the four intense states of recollection. And how Kundalya are the four intense states of recollection developed and cultivated so that they fulfill the seven factors of enlightenment. Here Kundalya, a monk dwells contemplating the body in the body, ardent, clearly comprehending and mindful, having removed covetousness and grief in regard to the world. Similarly, he dwells contemplating feelings, mind, Dhamma. Here it is translated as phenomena. It's not phenomena, it's Dhamma, the Buddha's teachings. Ardent, clearly comprehending and mindful, having removed covetousness and grief in regard to the world. It is in this way that the four Satipatthanas are developed and cultivated so that they fulfill the seven factors of enlightenment. And how Kundalya are the seven factors of enlightenment developed and cultivated so that they fulfill true knowledge and liberation. Here Kundalya, a monk develops the enlightenment factor of mindful of recollection, which is based upon seclusion, dispassion, and cessation, maturing in release. He develops the factor of investigation of Dhamma, etc., down to equanimity. It is in this way that the 7 factors of enlightenment are developed and cultivated, so that they fulfill true knowledge and liberation. When this was said, the wanderer Kundalya said to the Blessed One, "Magnificent Master Gotama, magnificent Master Gotama, the Dhamma has been made clear in many ways by Master Gotama, as though he were turning upright what had been turned upside down, revealing what was hidden, showing the way to one who was lost, or holding up a lamp in the dark for those with eyesight to see forms. I go for refuge to Master Gotama, and to the Dhamma, and to the Bhikkhu Sangha. From today, let Master Gotama remember me as a lay follower who has gone for refuge for life." That's the end of the sutta. So here, the Buddha explains how one thing leads to another. Namely, first we have to restrain our sense faculties. If we restrain our sense faculties, we don't get attracted to pleasant sense objects or feel repelled by unpleasant sense objects. Then in that way we can fulfill the 3 kinds of good conduct, our 3 karmas, to the body, speech and mind. And after that, it means that if you have the 3 good conducts, then you will be able to cultivate and develop the 4 satipatthanas. And when you develop the 4 satipatthanas, then the 7 Bojjhangas also come to fulfillment. And when you develop fully the 7 Bojjhangas, then you attain liberation and true knowledge. So the benefit that Master Gotama lives for is for true knowledge and liberation. So for us practicing the holy life, that is also the ultimate benefit, true knowledge and liberation. So even if we don't attain fully this liberation, at least we try as much as we can. But there are some people, they come in and wear the robe, but they don't practice the Dhamma, they don't strive for liberation, then their direction has gone the wrong way. The next sutta is 46.12. The Buddha said, "Monks, this is the forerunner and precursor of the rising of the sun, that is, the dawn. So too monks, for a monk this is the forerunner and precursor for the arising of the 7 factors of enlightenment, that is, good friendship, kalyana mitta. When a monk has a good friend, it is to be expected that he will develop and cultivate the 7 factors of enlightenment. And how does a monk who has a good friend develop and cultivate the 7 factors of enlightenment? Here, monks, a monk develops the enlightenment factor of mind, of recollection, which is based upon seclusion, dispassion and cessation, maturing and release. He develops the enlightenment factor of investigation of Dhamma, etc. It is in this way, monks, that a monk who has a good friend develops and cultivates the 7 factors of enlightenment. So here the Buddha says that before the sun can rise, the dawn must come. And so in the same way, the Buddha says that before you can develop the 7 factors of enlightenment, you need a good friend who will help you to develop these 7 factors of enlightenment. So this is a good spiritual friend. So in the Buddha's teachings, a good spiritual friend is very important. So the best spiritual friend, of course, as I mentioned, is the Buddha's words. And then if on top of the Buddha's words, you have another spiritual friend who can help you to understand more of the Buddha's words, that it will be ideal. 46.14. On one occasion, the Blessed One was dwelling at Rajagaha in the bamboo grove, the squirrel sanctuary. Now on that occasion, the Venerable Maha Kassapa was dwelling in the Pipali cave, sick, afflicted, gravely ill. Then in the evening, the Blessed One emerged from seclusion and approached the Venerable Maha Kassapa. He sat down in the appointed seat and said to the Venerable Maha Kassapa, "I hope you are bearing up, Kassapa. I hope you are getting better. I hope that your painful feelings are subsiding and not increasing, and that the subsiding, not the increase, is to be discerned. And he said, Venerable Sir, I am not bearing up, I am not getting better. Strong, painful feelings are increasing in me, not subsiding, and their increase, not their subsiding, is to be discerned. And the Buddha said, these 7 factors of enlightenment, Kassapa, have been rightly expounded by me. When developed and cultivated, they lead to direct knowledge, to enlightenment, to Nibbana. What's 7? The enlightenment factor of recollection has been rightly expounded by me. When developed and cultivated, it leads to direct knowledge, to enlightenment, to Nibbana. The enlightenment factor of investigation of Dhamma has been rightly expounded by me, and similarly for the other factors. These 7 factors of enlightenment, Kassapa, have been rightly expounded by me. When developed and cultivated, they lead to direct knowledge, to enlightenment, to Nibbana. And Venerable Kassapa said, surely, Blessed One, they are factors of enlightenment. Surely, Fortunate One, they are factors of enlightenment. This is what the Blessed One said. Elated, the Venerable Maha Kassapa delighted in the Blessed One's statement, and the Venerable Maha Kassapa recovered from that illness. In such a way, the Venerable Maha Kassapa was cured of his illness. So here, the Venerable Maha Kassapa was very sick. So the Buddha came to him and found that he was very sick. And then reminded him of the 7 factors of enlightenment and the 7 Bojjhanga. When he heard about these 7 Bojjhanga, he was so happy. He was so happy that all the sickness went away. The next sutta also similar, 46.16. On one occasion, the Blessed One was dwelling at Rajagaha in the bamboo grove, the squirrel sanctuary. Now on that occasion, the Blessed One was sick, afflicted, gravely ill. Then the Venerable Mahachunda approached the Blessed One, paid homage to him, and sat down to one side. The Blessed One then said to the Venerable Mahachunda, recite the factors of enlightenment, Chunda. And he said, these 7 factors of enlightenment, Venerable Sir, have been rightly expounded by the Blessed One. When developed and cultivated, they lead to direct knowledge, to enlightenment, to Nibbana. What 7? The enlightenment factor of recollection has been rightly expounded by the Blessed One. When cultivated and developed, it leads to direct knowledge, to enlightenment, to Nibbana. The enlightenment factor of investigation of Dhamma, etc., etc. These 7 factors of enlightenment, Venerable Sir, have been rightly expounded by the Blessed One. When developed and cultivated, they lead to direct knowledge, to enlightenment, to Nibbana. Surely, Chunda, they are factors of enlightenment. Surely, Chunda, they are factors of enlightenment. This is what the Venerable Mahachunda said. The teacher approved, and the Blessed One recovered from that illness. In such a way, the Blessed One was cured of his illness. So in the same way, the Buddha, when he heard about the 7 factors of enlightenment, he was so happy, and he recovered from his sickness. If you all remember, when we do the Bojjhanga chant, is mentioned there, the 2nd paragraph, Eka Saming Samayin, what's the chant? Eka Saming Samayin Ato Mogalanan Chaka Sapangilane Dukite Disawa Bojjhange. That. Then the 2nd one is that Ekada Dhammaraja Pigelanina Bipilito Chunda Terena Tanyeva Banna Petavana Sadarang, etc. So it refers to these 2 suttas. The next sutta is 46.18. The Buddha said, monks, those who have neglected the 7 factors of enlightenment have neglected the noble path leading to the complete destruction of suffering. Those who have undertaken the 7 factors of enlightenment have undertaken the noble path leading to the complete destruction of suffering. What 7? The enlightenment factor of recollection, enlightenment factor of investigation of Dhamma